Okay, it's day 119, part 1, and I put together a flow chart here, or an organizational chart of what I call the de facto DNC, or the de facto Hillary for America, which includes GPS and it includes Anthony Weiner and also the Awans as de facto employees in actual fact. If employees act as employees, whether or not they're on the payroll is insignificant, they're still actors. So John Podesta is the chairman for Hillary for America. I think everybody knew that. I think everybody knows that Debbie Wasserman Schultz from this period of October 2015 to July 2016 was the chairwoman. So there's nothing in dispute as far as that goes. But some people don't know that Huma Abedin was the official vice chairwoman, and that she had the 2100 classified emails. I'll fix that spelling. And she transferred sensitive information also to her sensitive passwords to her Yahoo account that were later picked up by a Russian security expert, quote unquote, that could have been very vital to national security. So right off the bat, we're seeing operatives here that are involved in the transfer and movement of classified information. So that is the first potential. If you're a judge, that's the first potential red flag for this organization and this conspiracy, which makes up a RICO conspiracy. The second red flag, obviously, here is Imran Awan. He has her password. He has Debbie Wasserman Schultz's password, even when her closest aides don't have her password. And he also is under indictment for bank fraud and conspiracy currently. He also has administrative login, as by the own administrator's name of McCluskey, who works for Congressman Becerra. He has the login, and he has been written up as having 7,000 illegal logins between he and all of his group. We know that Jamal Awan is $160,000 a year at $24 or 24 years old, probably making it more likely that he's an operative for the DNC than an actual 24-year-old employee in Congress, where his salary would be a third of that, if that. And again, a judge would look at that and say, what's the reasonable amount to pay a 24-year-old with that skill set in the House of Representatives? Same thing's going to be true over here with the Beta one. Going to look through. He's being accused of insurance fraud here in court. And again, being involved in the CIA car dealership and bankruptcy with no records and so forth, $1 million in debt, lots of different violations. Again, red flags here that these are really political operatives and not true IT employees of the House. Similar arguments can be made for Rayo Abbas, a little less strong arguments about Hasib Rana. They may have kept him in the dark. Completely, who knows, but we do know that he was involved in this configuration of these phones going directly to Imran's house right during this period of time of the election. We don't know if those phones went to Pakistan or not. So until we know more, we need to keep him in mind. And then here, of course, Hina Alvi. I didn't put her picture here. She's not pictured yet in the press. But she's also convicted, or not convicted, but under indictment for bank fraud and conspiracy. And again, the fact that none of these employees have pictures in the House of Representatives also lends credence to the theory that they are indeed really just political operatives of the de facto DNC. Here we have Anthony Weiner here, who has laptops, classified email from his wife, who's the vice chairwoman of DNC, and he is also involved in fundraising on Wall Street and so forth. Are classified secrets being stolen? We don't know, but he is currently incarcerated as well. Finally, I'll go to Glenn Simpson, who's Fusion GPS, but really in actual fact, he's opposition research for the DNC. And again, just because I have a different title and a different legal entity, in actual fact, he acted as opposition research for the DNC. And some reports have him being paid up to $12 million on behalf of the DNC. And he presented false statements to a FISA court. So he, amongst all of the conspirators here in the RICO conspiracy, has probably the most to answer for, because that is, of course, a felony. And when those applications are renewed and not stepping forward and informing the court that there's false statements made, that is also a red flag for each of one of those FISA applications. He continued to add to the document with false statements as well, and then went on to make false statements to Congress, and he's under criminal referral from Senator Grassley in the Congress. So if you're a judge and you have to look at the totality of this organization, right off the bat, you have to look at the plaintiff and you have to look at the defendants and see, is there a reasonable merit to the complaint that says that this was a fraud, that the $220 million that were given to Bernie Sanders that were swept up to Hillary for America, was that indeed a fraud or not? So that's the fundamental question before the court. Up till now, what the defendants here have chosen to do is just respond selectively with the most minor folks in the case, right? Hassi Brana, and then people protected by speech and debate like Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and they've not answered the fundamental question of the court or addressed any of the facts. All they've said is that I have presented wild theories and so forth. Again, all the thumbnails here I'm using are right from major publications like Zero Hedge and Wall Street Journal, New York Times, etc. So I think a judge looks at the totality of this and says, there is a lot of red flags here. There is merit to the idea that there is indeed a conspiracy afoot.